You're listening to Small Business Talk with Jerry. Sit in on great conversations with entrepreneurs who risk everything chasing the American dream.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Small Business Talk with Jerry, part of SBR Productions. Tonight we are going to interview Jordan. Jordan, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, so I'm Jordan Carrillo, born and raised in Edmond, Oklahoma. I just moved up here to Rochester, Minnesota here recently, about 6 months ago. And I am representing Referral Merchant Solutions, or Drop the Fee is what we go by.
Awesome. How many people are in the company?
There right now is 3 full-time. We just hired on 4 new agents that work as well with the company. So I would say 7.
Okay.
7 in total.
And are they all in Oklahoma except you? Or?
They are. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what made you branch out to Minnesota?
So my fiance, but now my wife.
I was just gonna say, come on now. You've been saying that for too long.
Right. My wife, we moved up here because she is working at the Mayo Clinic now as a nuclear medicine technologist. Recently graduated from OU Med and sent job applications out everywhere, and we figured this was the best opportunity for us to grow and awesome. and blossom and build a foundation up here. So
awesome. Good to hear. Well, how did you find? I mean, we met through Small Business Referral Group,
right?
So how did you hear about us?
So Jeremy, I was going around, introducing my business to local shops, and I went into one of Jeremy's businesses, the entertainment hall.
Oh, yeah, Family Fun Center.
Fun Center, yes. Oh, yes. Jeremiah,
yeah. Well, he goes by. Depends on what, yeah.
Yeah, and, I said, here's my business. This is what I do. I just moved up here. And kind of asked him a little bit about what he does for his payment processes. And, we just got to talking. He said that, he also works in insurance as well. And that I might benefit from joining a referral group, just being new in town. And, I was like, let me check that out, and it's been great so far. I've met lots of great people. And
how long have you been in now? It's been 2 months?
3 months.
3 months.
3 months.
Okay, so almost right from the beginning, really.
Right.
You must have visited right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. We should probably cover what does Drop the Fee do? What's the business? We probably start in the beginning.
Gotcha. So to kind of, so it is merchant services. And what we do, we are the bridge from the merchant to the processing banks. So what we are is we contract out to multiple processing banks, and we offer payment solutions for merchants to be able to accept debit, credit card transactions at their establishment. We can do wire transfers, ACH, electronic checks, and things of that nature.
Okay. So online versus brick and mortar, does that matter?
It does not matter, no. So e-commerce is growing more and more popular. Now with this day and age, people are wanting to sell online. Some popular platforms that are out there. I don't want to get too involved in what different solutions there are out there, but
sure.
People are moving online, and the ability to do mobile payments is a big movement right now. So, tap payments on, mobile devices or your phone are growing more and more popular.
So, we just set up at Broadway Car Care. Just had you set up here this week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going great. But then what about like the small business, somebody selling, dog collars and they're putting them on Etsy or they're going to craft fairs? You can help somebody like that too?
Yep.
Or really?
So what I like to do is I like to sit down with the business owner and ask them their needs. It's not always about saving money, and you'll hear phone calls and, advertisements, marketing, emails. You'll get, tons of this saying, we can save this, we can save that. Of course, our business name, we go by Drop the Fee, right. But we really like to hone in on the technological solutions. So, we like to be white glove, as we like to call it, where we offer, technical support, programming, compliancy, consultation, just try to broaden our spectrum rather than just say, yes, I process payments.
Sure. Awesome. So when we have the small vendor to big vendor, none of that doesn't scare you? That's the problem?
Nope. No matter the size of the company, I like to sit down and I like to work with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So small vendors that are not wasting your time by giving you a call. I mean, really,
No,
that's
no,
you'd
not
like
at
to
all.
work with them too.
Yeah, of course. And
Awesome.
even if, you have a great solution in place, going over, it doesn't hurt to go over your numbers and to go over your processes, because, you may have something that you wish you had, or you would like to know a little bit more about. And, I'd love to sit there and give you advice and say, hey, this is what you probably should be doing to stay compliant with the networks. But also, if this simplifies your process, then, let me go look for a solution for you. If I don't
Sure.
have it right then and there, I'd love to, dive in a little bit more to find what you are exactly looking for.
Okay. Well, and I mean, I'm going to throw some big names out there that, as not a processing guy, I'm not in the know, but I hear like, Clover and Square. I mean, we looked at Square for one of my other businesses, and because we were doing with the gun shop, we were doing gun shows. They wouldn't take us because it's Second Amendment and they're anti-American, I guess, or something. I don't know, maybe
Something like that.
Something like that. I'm just going to go with
Terms
that.
and conditions.
Terms and
Somewhere in the
conditions is-
lines.
Yeah, somewhere. It's like they'd rather have us selling porn than guns, which, they would allow one but not the other. It's like, okay,
Right.
well, that seems silly, but whatever.
Right.
So how would you, is that, if I had a business I was using Square, does that make you nervous, or are you like, I want to talk to you because I can help you?
I know exactly what to say. I know what you're going through. So when entering into these industries, you go against those big competitors, Square, Stripe, QuickBooks, things of
sure.
that nature, the big dogs, I guess. Square really took, leeway in this industry by providing technology that was simple, easy to use, tap it and go kind of a solution. And so their rates are specified on their website. Some people may qualify for lower rates, just depending on that. I don't work for Square, so I can't speak on that behalf.
Sure.
But yes, if you are using those platforms, I know maybe kind of what you're doing, what you're going through, and I can offer specific solutions regarding those. That would be something that you would need to contact me directly. We can sit down one-on-one.
Sure.
But, again, for me not working as a affiliate with Square,
Right.
I can't speak much on that.
Right. But you can beat them.
There are ways.
There are ways. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, but I mean, that's something that I'm sure listeners, there's got to be people out there listening to this that use Square.
Right.
And is that, like I said, we looked into it and we had it for a short time until they decided that, like I said, we just said we were a sporting goods store, which we are, but then when the different vendors we were using, they're like, are you selling firearms? Yes, legal, above board,
Right.
or federally licensed firearm dealer. There's no shady business
All the
here going on.
certifications, yeah.
Yep, and we checked all the boxes, and they were like, "You're done," and which wasn't necessarily a bad thing because they were ridiculously expensive on processing, which we didn't really know at the time. I just figured processing is processing. What's the big deal? It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal. So
They work primarily with low risk merchants, so typically try to keep the lower rates down. But so if you are looking for high risk merchants like that, one prime example that I've seen was CBD and marijuana companies.
oh, I bet.
Can't go through Square because they want to hone in more on the retail, the low risk merchants, your mechanic shops, things of that
Sure.
nature. So
Yeah, and that's all stuff that you can help coach through. I mean,
oh yeah,
because you're not stuck with one provider,
no.
right? You
No.
can do whatever.
Yeah. And the reason why we're contracted out to multiple processing banks is because, one, each processing bank offers better solutions, I would say, for specific companies. And not only that, I like to have backups if, rates were to increase with one merchant
Sure.
or one processing company. They say, this year we're going to go ahead and increase our rates. And no, not so fast,
Right.
And I'm able to move a merchant over to another processor where I can keep your rates low and stay competitive in the market.
Sure. And now, like that piece of equipment you got me, it was I don't remember what it's called, but regardless, I mean it.
The Deja Vu P1
Deja
terminal.
Vu. That's what it was.
I love that company. They're great. Their tech support, their customer support is awesome. We work with them very often for a lot of our merchants. One of their newest features is we can turn your phone into a terminal. If you have an iPhone or an Android, punch in a number, tap the card up to your phone, works mobile, Very, very simple to set up, and it makes it very convenient for the merchant.
And can you, like in my situation, can I run with the Deja Vu at the shop and have it on my phone at the same time, or is it an either or thing?
So not that specific equipment. You can't take it out of your shop and run it somewhere else. That's where we would, program your phone to be able to take that.
But that's what I'm saying. Like if I'm here tonight with my phone and we're set up, can I use that while they're using the other one at the shop?
Yes.
So
Yep. Simultaneously. And they both. Yes. Yeah. And they both communicate back to that gateway that we have set up there, where you can see all those transactions. You can see which terminal it was actually used on.
So at the end of the day, the batch would be both of them together in one batch.
Correct.
But you'd be able to see where it came from.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Okay.
And who performed it. You can associate admins and employees per device. So you can say, iPhone number 1 is associated with Jason over here. So you know who exactly took that transaction. Yeah, it's quite nifty.
So as your business expands, this can expand too, and I have to go out and keep buying new equipment because we're bigger than we were before or whatever. It's just if we need more equipment, one thing, but I don't have to replace old equipment because we're expanding.
Yeah, exactly. And if you do end up expanding, I look for those partnerships that are going to be long-term, because I plan on doing this for the rest of my life. So, once every 3 months, I send out a mass email to all my clients and I say, hey, is there anything that you can add to or anything that I can add to your company to help, with some of your processes, because after, being in business for 2 or 3 years, you start to realize, wow, okay, so let's expand and, buy another warehouse, so we're going to need to get another terminal placement out there. If I don't reach out, then, there's never that disconnect. So customer service is one of the main things that we try to harp on.
It's what differentiates you from everybody else. Because,
correct.
Especially in that industry, I've told you, I just hang up on so many people. Right. It's 2 or 3 a day that come through on that. And so, customer service, that's the place where you can stand out. Because, like auto parts, we fix cars. A lot of guys fix cars. We're all buying the parts from the different stores, but those stores are buying all the parts from the same places. So if you're buying from AutoZone or Napa or O'Reilly's, when you open up that box, take the alternator out, and you set it on the counter, we do that from all 3 of them and hide the boxes. They're the same alternator.
Right.
It's there's very little difference and very few companies doing these things.
Right.
So you don't have this plethora of choices. It looks like it, but it's not real.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing in your industry, I would assume. Credit card processing, there's only so many ways to do it. Right. So,
and I'd say probably one of the biggest hurdles that I run into is the competitiveness in it. The 3 or 4 calls a day, for this specific industry.
Just for that.
So, getting in the door and introducing myself face to face, I strongly believe that face to face business is not dead and will never die because I'm very traditional in that mindset. And, if I'm willing to show up in person and install the terminal myself and not have, somebody else that I just hired, go and do it for me. And then if I can be on the front line for everything, customer service, programming, all the way through, then that provides me or allows me to be more of an asset to that company.
Right. You become a partner.
Right.
You really do.
Right.
Awesome. So, how did you get into this?
Yeah. So, the business started during COVID around 2020. Me and my partner, Steve, we were both in insurance, with Colonial Life. And, so that's where I got introduced to the business to business sales and marketing and, conducting, being, I guess you would say, entering the business world.
Sure.
Not clocking in as a W-2 employee.
Yep.
Well, I was still serving at Texas Roadhouse out there. And, Steve recently left the company to, go do this. And I saw him out there. I played football with his son growing up. And he came into Texas Roadhouse and was eating, and I was his server. And I was like, what do you do now that you're no longer in insurance? And he goes, well, I do payment processes. And I was interested. So I was like, let's sit down, let's talk. Why did you leave?
So you
this
instigated
industry?
that conversation.
Oh, of course.
All right.
And after a few conversations back and forth, you can only do so much serving a steak and having to go run and take care of 4 more tables.
Right.
He
I'm
said,
working here.
Yeah. And it wasn't just for the gratuity at the end of the night.
Right,
I
right.
was really genuinely interested why you got out of an industry that I'm just now getting into, after you've been in it for, 10, 15 years.
Right. Built your book.
Right.
Right.
Why are you leaving? Because I don't want to see myself 10, 15 years from now doing the same thing.
Start over.
Right,
Just
right.
like, what am I doing here?
Want to be one step ahead.
Yep.
And he said, why don't you go take a ride with me? I was like, okay. So I hopped in the truck the next morning, and that was the big first test, I guess you would say it would be. Is I actually showed up. A lot of times people don't show up. And we drove around. He introduced me to some of his clients, showed me a couple statements, and said, look, here's this person's previous statement, and this is our statement that we've done for them. I've been a client for the past year. We are projected to do this amount in savings, and you'll learn the technology you'll learn the technology in time. But after seeing that statement, the way we walked into a business and were treated versus the way I walked into a business in insurance and was treated was way different. The kind of reactions, the brotherhood that was there, and the partnership, that the way he was treated and valued and was way higher than it was in insurance. And
Sure.
That's where I was hooked, and that's where I fell in love with the industry.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
25. So you got a long ways ahead of you.
I have a long ways ahead of me.
That's awesome. Yeah, but that means that's a lot of book to build. I mean, that's a lot to take care of.
Right.
So you just talked about kind of your hurdles. What's your end goal? Are you hoping to stay in Rochester and build your book here?
Yes. Yeah. So my end goal, or I guess my short-term goal, is to hire 3 new agents. I want to build, the business here, not only just clientele, but also employees as well. Teaching other people that want to enter the business industry, and with not a lot of overhead and, maybe not a lot of capital to throw into it, but they can pay for gas and are willing to learn. That's kind of where I want to go short-term. Long-term goals,
Let me interrupt you for a second.
Go ahead.
So when you say like 3 employees, are you going to try and bring 3 employees in Rochester to compete with you? Or are you talking you'd manage them from Rochester and put them in Austin or the Twin Cities or Winona?
I would hire them in Rochester, and I would hire them onto my team as a sub-agent under my...
to sell in Rochester?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
And if they grow, I grow, and if I grow, then the company grows,
Sure.
So that's kind of where I'm wanting to look for next year. It would be bringing on 3 new agents, reforming my recruiting and training platform so it's easy for them to jump right in.
Yep.
And go.
Awesome.
My long-term goals would be to once I have that agent and the clientele and the residuals are coming in, I can reinvest it into an office building, eventually hire a corporate trainer, a front desk receptionist, and build more of a brick and mortar out of it.
Sure.
But, we're talking 4 or 5 years from now.
5-year plan.
Yeah.
Yep. And you have to have that. I mean, you have to have that. You have to have, and it's okay to change that along the way too.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. A lot of guys get that goal set, and all of a sudden it's like written in stone, no matter how difficult it is or how the industry might change too. That's another thing. So you've got to stay. I mean, and I'm sure in this industry that's got to be a piece of the puzzle is staying current.
Right. And the ability to drive down the street and see a building with a name on it, there's a certain trust and credibility behind that versus, not having that and seeing that every day. So, in a sense, it is a form of marketing, but it's a place that you could call, center home. Right?
Sure.
For somebody to go to if, you didn't pick up on the call or they can't reach the office. There's a place that they can go to. They know they're going to be in front of somebody.
Yep, they've got that hub to deal with.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now we mentioned a little earlier, newly married, like a few weeks ago, newly married.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So tell us about her. What's her name?
So her name is London, and so she is 24 now. She just had a birthday a couple days ago.
Awesome. Happy birthday, London.
Yeah, happy birthday. And met her at OU in college and really hit it off. We've been together for about 4 years now. And she's awesome. She's wicked smart. She does nuclear medicine technology at the Mayo Clinic. So she's always right.
That has nothing to do with nuclear medicine.
right. But yeah, she's a sweetheart, down to earth, loves baking. I want to say eventually we are going to open up a baking company for her, get her some cards so she can do that.
Awesome. Also like
In
a
her spare
cottage
time.
bakery kind of thing to get started. That's what they call it in Minnesota if you're going to do it from home. You have to get a cottage. It's cottage baker's license or cottage something.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not 100% on that, but someone will correct us in the comments. I'm
Yeah,
sure. But,
I'm sure.
but yeah. So so you guys met at college, you said.
Mhm.
That's cool. So and she's did she want to come to Minnesota, or was it really Mayo Clinic was the best option? So it didn't matter where it was. That's where we were going to Mayo Clinic.
She had a couple options, out in Colorado, Maine, Dallas, Texas, Mayo, and then some part-time positions in Oklahoma.
Sure.
When there were only part-time positions in Oklahoma, we kind of knew this is where we're going to go.
You're going to have to move. Yeah.
Right. Mayo was, and is considered one of the top hospitals in the world.
Right.
So if you're going to go anywhere out of the state, you might as well go big or go home.
Right.
Right.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah. It's like in business also. Just yeah. It's like sometimes you got to know when to take that big step. Big step. That leap. Awesome. Well, what else would you like to tell us about you?
I love football. Grew up watching the Dallas Cowboys. Sorry for all the Minnesota and Wisconsin fans.
Oh, don't be sorry for us. Sorry for you right now.
Right.
This has not been a good run the last 30 years or so.
Yeah. Signing $100 million contracts and keeping the same, I guess, athletes you have on the field.
Yeah.
And expecting change is a business decision that I cannot say I could make. So
I'm old enough to remember the Herschel Walker trade when Minnesota created the Dallas Cowboy dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to watch that. That was heartbreaking for us. But it's been kind of nice the last 25 years or so that they haven't really done anything.
Right. Right.
So now that you're an adult,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and you can see these things. I mean, Jerry Jones, that's hard to watch.
Right.
I mean, a guy with that kind of resources, and he just can't get it right.
Right.
And he can't let go. I mean, he can't let go of the throttle and give it to somebody else to do it right.
Right.
And it just, boy, I mean, what a waste.
Right.
What a huge waste.
A sense of legacy, I guess you would say. And, when the company is found from money and you're, wanting to go off of the same script that you've had forever, you have to make a change at some point.
Yep.
And so many new athletes are coming out of college now. And, I'm a huge Oklahoma City Thunder fan, so for basketball.
Yep.
And they don't always have the most funding because, Oklahoma City can only, it's a small market, small ceiling.
Yep.
But the athletes that come out of there, the training program, the GM there is just amazing, right?
Okay.
And they build out all these athletes like Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, big names that are going to other, cities.
Right.
Were started in Oklahoma, and now Oklahoma City Thunder is, expected hopefully this year to win the Western Conference and maybe even win the whole thing with, kids that are 19, 20, 21 years old. It's just these athletes that are so young want to compete on that level and take it to the next step.
Yep.
And in order to do that, you have to be willing to sacrifice big names, big players for trades later on to grow. It's like what is it called? A growth period or a rework period.
Right. Yep. Time to reorganize a bit.
And I just don't think the Cowboys are willing to do that. You know?
Yeah. Well, like our Minnesota Twins, I mean, their farm system is second to none.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of big names come through, but we can't afford to keep them. Again, small markets, low ceiling. That's exactly right. And
Right.
It's, and you watch all these guys go off and get their World Series rings with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's tough to watch. Some days, when you're as a fan. I mean, we were fortunate to have been to two World Series and won them both, but a lot of years ago. Again, you're 87 and 91. It's been a long time.
Still trying to sell that merchandise, right?
Yep. Yeah, right. Still trying to put it out there.
Right.
So, what else would you like to talk about? Is there anything else you want to bring up? Tell people about yourself or the business or whatever you want.
Okay, so there's a big misconception in our industry. A lot of phone calls going on right now about PCI compliance.
Okay.
And then that's a big thing. And what PCI compliance is, it's the payment card standards way of protecting card data. It's the reason why all of your debit and credit cards have a chip on them now. The EMV readers and the tap to pay is because what that does is it encrypts, and locks down with tokenization your card data so it can't be breached. Well, I can't say can't be breached, but
Right.
very, very difficult to do so.
Sure.
So, if you are worried about, how you pay, I want to recommend the tap to pay is very, secure. Inserting your chip and also inserting your PIN is very, very secure methods. You get a little less secure when you swipe it, and when, you give your card information over the phone.
Sure.
So always recommend to be present in those transactions. But, e-commerce platforms rely on tokenization and protecting your card data when they are, you're putting your card information online. That's a big one.
And for us at the shop, it's crazy the differing opinions of clients. Because I've got clients that, they'll like kind of look at you and they're like, like they're, it's like, yeah, right. They're hiding the pin and whatever. It's like, yeah, I'll just turn away, I won't look at it. But, and then you've got other clients that when they'll call like, yeah, I won't be there till after hours. So, you've got my card number. I don't have your card number.
No.
Well, I used my card there last time. Oh, okay. I don't keep that.
Right.
I can't keep that. I don't get it. I don't get that number.
Right.
I get to see the last 4 digits and your name. That's what I see. I don't, and like, oh, well, can I just give it to you over the phone? Can you just keep it and just that way you'll have it?
Right.
No, I don't want it. I don't want to be responsible for that. And you shouldn't want me to be responsible for that. It's like, no, I trust all my guys, but we're low security in that sense.
Right.
We have alarms, obviously, we have cameras, that kind of stuff. But it's like, as far as when you look at PCI compliance, we do what they tell us to do.
Right.
But we don't go over and above. We don't have any super security or super secure system. It's just,
right.
We just make sure that at the end of the day, we print out all the things, we staple it, and which I'll probably get away from that now that we've got your system. We can do it all online.
Right.
And I'm still old school. That makes me a little nervous. It's like, I'd like to know that I have it, but regardless, we'll get there.
Right. As long as you're not, taking, credit card information over the phone, writing it down on a piece of paper and storing it in a glove compartment or a drawer somewhere.
That's what people want us to do, though. I mean, some people, some people are so paranoid they hide their pins, and the next people are like, yeah, well, I'll just give you my card number and then you just keep it. No.
That's
That's
a lot of trust.
Yeah, it's like, no, I don't want to do that. All right, well, I guess we'll just, it's a pain in the ass. So okay, right. But, it's better than finding out everything's maxed out or drained or whatever the case is,
Right. Well, the great thing is now is with technology and gateways is with proper tokenization, you are able to store customers' names and credit cards on file. The asterisks and only being able to see the last 4 of the card number. That tokenization encrypts it so you can never use that information again outside the spectrum or the scope of the gateway and what the purpose is used for.
Sure.
But yeah, you can actually go in and authorize a payment if they call in and they say, can you just run the card that I have on file? There is gateways and technology out there that can do that properly and
with your system or
through PCI compliance. So I have multiple systems, but with the system you have at the shop, yes, It does have that capability.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know that I want to do that, but it's good to know, I guess.
It's good for recurring payments,
I was gonna say,
subscription plans, things of that nature.
Sure. That would, like at the gun shop, that would be because we do have, you can buy a box,
Mm-hmm.
and you can be a member, and we have things like that that's a monthly. So yeah, that might be all right for something like that, I suppose. Okay. Or maybe some of our fleet customers where we have 6 or 8 different people bringing us vehicles, but you have one payer that comes in, and then when you get that one driver that doesn't turn in a receipt or whatever, you know, that's always a pain in the ass. So that something like that might be all right, yeah. But anyway, So what else have you got?
So the big talk in the industry right now is surcharging. So people or merchants, I guess, are considering the idea that they no longer want to assume the card cost from Visa, MasterCard, American Express.
Yeah.
There's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. The wrong way to do it is to say, I'm going to charge 3%, 3.5%, 4% on all cards, and we're going to put it on the as a line item on the receipt, and say, this is our surcharge, this is, the cost of doing business, right? Yep. Visa actually came out in 2023, back around in March or April, somewhere around there, April 14th or 15th. One of those days, I'm sure somebody in the comments is going to be this exact day. Yeah. But where they said that if you wanted to do surcharging, it's capped at 3% only on credit cards. So if you're adding a fee on debit cards, you're out of compliance with Visa. There's 3 different pricing methods that you can take. You have your traditional, where you assume the cost of card. You have surcharging, where you're only applying it on credit cards, and then you also now have dual pricing. Dual pricing is the rave right now. Gas stations have been doing it since the 70s. You're driving down the highway, right?
3-cent discount for cash.
Right,
okay,
right.
Yep.
They'll flash 2 prices, a cash price and a card price.
Yep.
Because it's against the Constitution for somebody, even the card brand networks, to go in there and say, you cannot price your items that way.
Right.
That's against the rights that you have.
Right.
The way to do it compliantly, if you're no longer assuming the cost of card, is dual pricing. You see big companies that are pushing, just go ahead and add a line item there and just add 3% and that'll cover your costs, right? Wrong if you are doing it incompliantly. There's a couple of big names out there. I can't,
sure,
explain, what those companies are, who they are. But there are some big competitors out there that people are very, very comfortable with and use every day that are doing things not compliantly. So it's very, very important to go onto the Visa website and look up their regulations, because people are subject to $1,000 up to $10,000 fine right away without warning, because it's been in effect for, a little, year or two now. Yeah. So it's very, very important that you are educated in how you pass on those fees, because if you do it incorrectly, Visa can hit you with a fine, and if you continue to be non-compliant, they won't allow you to accept their debit cards, Visa or their credit cards at your establishment. And across the board, anywhere from 60 to 70% of merchant statements that I see are Visa cards. So that is a very, very important aspect of your business that you want to retain. So just be careful in how you're passing on those fees. Make sure you're doing it correctly, because Visa's coming around and without warning. So
okay, that's good advice. So what's your thoughts on we had dinner at a local restaurant right here in Stewartville last weekend, and she brings us the bill, and of course it's exactly like it was in the menu, the pricing, all this. And then she says, we just started this today, 10% discount if you pay with cash. 10%.
Wow.
It's like, and I'm usually a cash guy, so for me that's great. But I was like, really? I mean, so when you look at that, excuse me, you're getting out of there. 10%. That's I've never seen that big a number on something like that.
Right.
But yeah, and that's paid with cash. They took a 10% discount right off the top.
Draws me to wonder how much they're currently paying in those processing fees if they're saying 10% discount.
Well, when we're done, I'll tell you who to go talk to, because he's a good friend of mine that owns it. So, this is a good friend of mine. So, I will give you his name, because that's a big chunk. It's like I don't pay any. Well, you and I just went over mine. I don't pay anywhere near 10% on when you look at the average over the course of a month or a year, a day, whatever.
But they are out there. I was meeting with a local company here in Rochester recently that was paying upwards around 8%. I'm not going to disclose who it was, but yeah,
I know this company,
it is out there.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they use Toast.
Toast,
I believe. So, as a matter of fact, where I had lunch today, I don't know what they pay, but that's the system that they use. That's their little computer and credit card system was Toast. Yeah,
Toast is very popular in the restaurant business.
Yep, yep. So, when you have a system that you offered me where it pushes all the fees to the client, not to me.
Right.
But now that fee that gets pushed to the client, it's different depending on what cards they use. Correct.
Correct. So, so if you're not assuming the cost of card anymore. You write the application as a flat rate. It's to cover all the cost of card.
Oh, okay.
So the most expensive cards that are out there are those high reward business select cards, your American Express cards. They can range anywhere from 3 to 3.5%. So when you're doing dual pricing, there's no way for me to tell what card you're actually going to get when somebody comes in to pay. There's hundreds of different cards out there.
Okay.
So to cover, all of those costs, dual pricing is usually written at 3.5 to 3.75 or even 4% sometimes with specific cards. So if you are doing dual price programs, they're usually around that market.
Okay.
And what I mean by dual price is you have a cash price and you have a card price. The card terminal is customer facing, and when they go to pay, they have their invoice, right, their cash, and then right next to it they have a card price. So if they go in and they manually press card price, they're acknowledging that they are paying your higher price for that product.
Sure.
That's what keeps you compliant with the card brand networks, is having that customer facing and seeing both prices side by side. That's the only way to say, not assume any more cost of cards. It covers all of the cost of cards. If you have a line item that says there's a 3% fee, you are operating as surcharging, and that cannot be applied to debit cards. If it is, you're out of compliance, and you are subject to those fines.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that's good information. Credit card's credit card, but apparently not.
Right.
So, right.
Well, fun fact is the first 4 digits of a card number will tell you the system if it's a true credit or a true debit card.
Okay. So what different kinds are there? I mean, there's a credit card and debit card. So there's really only 2 kinds. Is that accurate, or?
Well, you have fleet cards for companies that are paying for oil changes in particular.
Like
you see a lot of
enterprise fleet or something like that.
Yeah. So you got those kind of cards. I'm trying to. You get your gift cards, I guess you would say, but those usually operate with one of the card brand networks. Cryptocurrency is a big trading platform now.
Oh, sure.
So some people will ask, do you take crypto? You need specific technology in order to do that. So if you're interested, I do have a couple of solutions that do have the cryptocurrency payment platforms.
I'm not, but someone listening
might.
Right? Someone listening might.
Right.
So, and we should mention that if you're watching this podcast, if you go to joinsbrgroup.com, you can find our vendors. All of our members or clients are there, including Jordan and Drop the Fee. And Jordan, how about tell them how to get a hold of you? I mean, let's do the commercial side of the podcast. Let's tell them how to find you.
Yeah. So the best way to reach out to me would be by email. It gets sent directly to my phone, and I'm very responsive on that. It's jordan@dropthefee.com. Or you can, call our home office line or my business line. Most of the time, I'll give you my personal number if we are on that talking basis. But yeah, those would be the best ways to get a hold of me.
Awesome. And website?
Yep. It's www.dropthefee.com. You'll have, all of our information on there, my contact information, Steve, my partner's contact information on there as well. We do have an Instagram. It's Drop the Fee. We have a Facebook page. Just look up Drop the Fee, and you'll see us on there. It'll have this logo, so you know you're in the right place.
Awesome. Anything else you want to cover?
Trying to think. Well, so, surcharging, dual pricing. PCI compliance is a big one.
Well, let me ask you something, because, I mean, we just did this. You have a program where you'll take care of our PCI compliance. You do my training, but then you check the boxes, right?
Right. So what I would do is I'd sit down with you, and depending on the processor, they have different steps for the PCI compliance, whether you go directly to their website or their portal. And we go through a list of questions, and I'll ask you, are you not storing card information on paper? Are you shredding it? Are all of your employees abiding by the same rules and regulations, taking cards over the phone? Is your terminal a dial-up versus, standalone? Or is it, connected only online, right? So PCI compliance asks specific questions to kind of the technology that you have there, along with if you're abiding by the guidelines to ensure, card data isn't easily breached.
Awesome.
So that is something that I help my clients and my merchants get accomplished, so they don't get charged non-compliance fees, PCI compliance fees, things of that nature. So best way to find out is look at your processing statement, go to the very bottom. If you see non-receipt or non-PCI compliance fee, it's because you haven't done it, and might be something worth doing, so to save you some money. That is an optional fee that you can get rid of.
So if it's on there, you can fix that.
Yes. Yeah. If you see the non-receipt or non-PCI compliance fee, you can get rid of that. That is something that you would want to talk to your local agent, whoever your representative is, in handling that and getting it done.
Awesome. Well, I had a great time. You said you were pretty nervous coming in here.
Yeah.
Not so bad.
Not so bad.
Good.
Little nervous on speaking publicly sometimes, unless we're either talking about sports or we have a couple drinks. So
there we go. Well, I tell you, the bar is literally on the other side of that door. Maybe we should have started there next time.
Right.
Next time. Would you do it again? If you come back?
Of course. And I highly recommend anybody listening to this podcast, if you're looking to start a small business or a local business, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and join some referral groups, because you really will meet like-minded individuals that are looking to grow, and just the networking side of it is unmatched. Don't be afraid to go up and say hello. And if you are a little bit shy, there are outgoing people that will come up and make you say hi on those days. So definitely worth looking into.
Absolutely. And being part of a referral group, it takes time, but it really helps with the public speaking.
Right.
That is, to me, that's one of the first benefits that you see from it, is just, and then all of a sudden going out and talking to clients, it's a breeze.
Right.
Once you get past that.
Right.
So,
and running a business, it is sales at the end of the day. So either somebody's, I always like to think either somebody's selling or somebody's buying at the end of the day.
Right.
And that's in anything. So, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and fail, because it shows human emotion, human nature. I can't tell you, I've actually walked in, when I first started this industry, I walked into a business that I'm completely new, but I know what we can do because I've seen it. You got 15 minutes, and being open and honest, even when you're new, it goes so much farther than trying to fake it and act like you know what you're talking about.
Right.
And if you don't know what you're talking about, make sure you go and do your research when you do reapproach that person, so that way they show that you're actively working towards a common goal. And
take notes.
Take notes.
When they have questions, take notes.
Yep.
And follow up. If you say you're going to get back to them, get back to them. It's not rocket science in that sense. Just do what you say you're going to do, and people will understand that over time that's your personality and that's who you are.
Right.
And now they know they can trust you.
Mm-hmm.
That's being reliable lends a long way to gaining someone's trust. You know, absolutely. So that's maybe next time we'll get into more about the business, the running the business end of the business, not so much processing and card related, but just the things you've seen, So I do have a question before we're done. This is a Minnesota goodbye. We're going to just keep going after we've said we're done.
I'll get to learn it.
Minnesota goodbye. Yes, it's when you stand at the door. Okay, well, hey, have a great day, and then you get to the door and you're like, okay, bye. Have a good day. What do you do this weekend? Oh, okay, yeah, and it's like 5 minutes later, you're still at the door. Yeah, that's a Minnesota goodbye. That's what we call that. So, but you did this in Oklahoma for a while before moving up here, correct?
Right.
Okay. Tell me about the people. Do you notice, is there a noticeable difference between the people there versus here?
Very.
Good, bad, different?
Just different, I would say.
Okay.
There is a Minnesota nice aspect of it that I've heard.
Is that real?
It is real.
All right.
It is real. Right. Moving from the south and then coming up here. I feel in this area in Rochester, people are afraid to get out of their shell. Everything is very formal and traditional and comfortable, I guess you would say, and personal image is everything. Mm-hmm. Versus when you go in the South, you walk in the front door, it's a little, when you go up and talk to somebody, there's always a physical connection. It's either a hug or like more eye contact, I guess you would say, going into different businesses and seeing that aspect of it. But at the end of the day, going into those businesses and looking to set appointments and meet with people, the aspect of it has been relatively the same.
Okay. I'm just curious because living here my whole life, I always hear the Minnesota nice, and I'm thinking, well, I know some assholes out there. So it's like, is that real? Is that really a thing overall? Yeah. For the most part, I think we've got some really great people around here. I think we do. But it's fun to hear someone new coming in. Yeah. Their perspective. So again, Jordan, I really appreciate making time driving out here tonight and doing this.
Of course.
And yeah, I'd love to have you back, or maybe bring in a couple, 3 people. Those are kind of fun too when we do the group podcasts. If that's something you'd like to get into.
Of course.
And then 2, I think when you look at how many of our businesses, if you're in business, it's not all about the money, but that's why you're there.
Right.
And so maybe afterwards you and I will chat about having you do some research and pick up a couple topics on card processing as like an educational piece for SBR Group to share with other chapters as we get moving. We've got 3 now. So, for all of you small business owners, I'm going to put a shameless plug in for, SBR Group, Small Business Referral Group. Join SBRgroup.com. Check us out. Reach out. My email's at the bottom, jerry@joinsbrgroup.com. Reach out. If it's something you'd like to know something about, I'd send you some information. It's been good for you, right?
Oh, yeah. Moving here 6 months ago, it's very scary, and I didn't know how to, I guess, approach, a group of people and try to fit in, right? So
make friends
and make friends. Right. Yeah, at the end of the day.
Yeah, we're not 8 anymore. It's you don't just go over to the playground and go, hey, I'm just going to jump in. It's like it's,
making friends as an adult is very difficult.
It's different. Yeah,
I've learned that. You didn't. I didn't have college buddies that were around anymore, where we're just associated by the classes we went to, right? Yep. Or high school buddies.
It's another Minnesota goodbye. By the way, here we are.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking about that
actually. No, but you're adapting really well. It's you're always got a smile on your face. I tell you, it's really been fun. I've been with Home Federal has been my bank. At Broadway since probably our 3rd year in business. So it's been 17, almost 18 years we've been with Home Federal. I've always just let them do our credit card processing. It's not bad, but it wasn't your rates. Let's be honest. You saved me a bunch of money doing this. And I've never, over the last 17, 18 years, I've spent a lot of extra money on processing with my bank that I didn't have to. But I wasn't ready to make that bridge. I didn't know anybody in it. And I just didn't want to. We run in my opinion, we run a fair amount of money through.
Right.
And I can't just look at somebody and trust them with it.
Right.
The bank I'm already trusting with it. If the bank takes advantage of me, well, then I'm kind of screwed. If I can't trust them, then that's where I'm at, But so it was really great to meet you through the referral network.
Right.
And then get to know you a little bit and go, I can trust this kid.
Right. And that's the biggest thing too, is trust at the end of the day. And like I tell, my agents back at home, or any agents looking to get into this industry, and if a business owner is not willing to meet with you, it's not because they don't like you. It's not because they don't like the product. And this isn't anything in sales.
Anything.
It's just flat bottom line. They don't trust you.
Yep.
And in order to gain that trust over time, it's repetition, showing up when you say you're going to show up, and talking about things other than business.
Right.
Go out and have a drink with them and show, your hobbies, and that you're a real person versus, just something that shows up every now and then to market the same thing.
Right. Well, kind of like tonight, we talked about the Cowboys a little bit, and we can't hold your bad choices against you. It's, obviously that's it's not all about that.
I was born and raised into those bad choices, so I guess it's a family tradition. Right?
Well, yeah. Well, I've been a Vikings fan for all my life, and that hasn't netted me a lot of fruit yet either. So I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really glad that we met. I'm glad that you're part of the group. And like I said, it's hard not to like you.
I
you're always
appreciate that.
positive. And well, it's one thing to always smile, but it's another thing to really be positive, and like you said, be genuine. There's
Right.
a lot of people out there that smile and you can see it from a mile away. It's like, that's not them.
Yes.
That's right. Exactly. Just that wax figure look. And it's like, that's not them.
Like, who is that?
Yeah. So I really enjoy meeting someone as genuine as yourself. That really, and so it didn't take long to go, yeah, come down, and
Right.
try to get you into some of the other businesses too.
Yeah. And the big thing is transparency too. I mean, if you show me a processing statement, I'll highlight the areas that I can help. And if I can't help you, I'm going to tell you right then and there. And be like, you have something great. I wouldn't change it. I'm not willing, or I'm not afraid to say that to you and lose the potential of working with you.
Right.
Because if you're in a good situation, you're in a good situation. I would never want to offer something that would, hinder your process, even if it does save you money.
Right.
It may make your process 10 times harder. I would
Right.
never want to do that. So
No, and sometimes if you really can't better the system for someone, I'm sure you've gotten the question once you get to know somebody and they like you personally, well, is yours worse? Because if yours, you may not be able to save me $1,000 a month or $2,000 a year or whatever it is, but is your system worse than what I've got?
Right.
Well, no, I'm just not heads and tails better. Well, sometimes you're going to be the difference in that.
Right.
So if I come to you, I'm not really losing anything. Well, no, you're not losing anything, but you're not having the big gains that we were hoping for.
Right.
Right. But now I get to work with you.
Right.
Okay. That's enough for some people.
But some
once
people-
you get to know.
Some people, in order to achieve that project, they need to spend a little bit more money, and they're willing to make that investment.
Yep.
So once we both agree that, making the investment, even if it is more expensive, but it handles these processes a lot
Right.
better and easier for you,
Right.
then I say, let's go down this route. And, at the end of the day, it's consultation. And, I want to make
Well,
sure.
it's sales, and it's about getting in front of the people. And just because something is 10 cents less, that doesn't mean it's a better product.
Right.
And it often doesn't mean it's a better product.
Right.
So it's not always all about the money. At the end of the day, there's other things to this besides just the end cost, And if there's a process that you can streamline when you walked in, how old's that machine that I was using? That VX whatever. I'm pretty sure.
The Verifone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've had, and that was my second or third one of those. But that particular actual piece of equipment, that thing's got to be at least 9 years old.
Yeah, I was going to say 8+.
That was in my shop, and I had two more before that because I've never had anything. That shop's been there almost 21 years, and I've never had any other machine other than that exact model of machine.
Right.
Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. The first ones didn't have the tap to pay on them. So, but to look at it, it looked like the exact same machine.
Right.
The keypad, the configuration, everything was exactly the same. So, that's a 20-year-old style of machine.
And that's why I go with Deja Vu. It's like what I told you is the P1 line got released in 2020, 2021, 2 or 3 years ago.
Sure.
But they're constantly coming out with new lines. It's just like the newest phone that comes out.
Right.
They're even going to drop new, Z lines in, 2024 and 2025. They're constantly sending me emails of new technology, and that's the big thing too. Is I'm always willing to continue learning about the new technology that's out there because if something hits the market, I need to be able to stay competitive and offer that service.
And there's guys out there that are way different than me they want that new technology.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, will it take a credit card? Okay.
Good.
Yep. Does the money go from your account to my account? I'm happy. That's what I'm looking for.
Right.
But
some people want the next biggest,
Right.
flashiest thing, and that's
that's like the phones. Same thing. It's like, I text, I call, I scroll around Facebook or the internet, and I take pictures. It's like, so the new phone, what does it do that mine won't?
Right.
Well, it does everything. It just does a little better. Okay, well, every day I get a little worse.
Right.
I'm not getting better anymore. I'm 53 years old. I'm over the hill of getting better. I'm just getting by.
Well, you can trust that I'm not slowing down the speeds of your terminal to sell newer terminals because see that where your phones start slowing down.
$1 trillion companies, Apple did that. It's like, come on,
to sell the newest line that has slightly bigger screen. And it's crazy to think about that. we went from these big phones to these like short, small Razor phones. You know,
Yep.
it was all about how small it could fit in your pocket, and now we're slowly getting back to those giant phones.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. It's like going back to bell bottoms. We're just making that transition, right? All
they're
right.
gonna come back.
They're going to come back. They're coming. They're coming. All right. Last goodbye.
Last goodbye.
We're all done.
All right.
Are you all set?
Yeah. Thank
All
you for
right.
having me.
Jordan, have a great night. Everybody, check out Jordan Carrillo and drop the fee. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See you.